The lowest I've ever been in the Army was after Ranger School. And I think you may be thinking about Ranger School. That is a
Right.
62-day long course, but I spent 80 plus days in there because I failed the first portion of it. I had to recycle it. I failed. It's called Derby phase. So it's like the very first phase in Ranger School. You have Derby phase, then you have a mountain phase, and you have a Florida swamp phase. And I failed the first portion and then had to do it again and went all the way through after that. But I lost almost 40 pounds, 35, 40 pounds in
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Came back and put it back on before that deployment in like a month. Yeah. But we were also during that time, we were on some stuff too to help out with that.
You were on some stuff.
Everybody was.
Like Toradol?
Like you name it. Yeah. Testosterone.
The good shit.
Yeah, the good stuff. Yeah.
The stuff that they don't let the baseball players use.
Yeah.
But it'd be very interesting if we did let them use
it. Yeah.
Right.
Before, D-ball and all that stuff was banned or considered anabolic steroids. Yeah.
Right. Tested on the military.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't safe for 21-year-old kids to be boosting up their testosterone to like 1,000,000%.
You're talking about like at 17 wondering if you're going to be a guy blowing people's heads off, and now they're just boosting your testosterone. They're like, yeah, we need our killers here in the Army.
Yeah. Literally, man. Oh, yeah. On some stuff, and like we lifted a lot. We had our own personal gym in Ranger Battalion. We had our own chefs. We had our own chow hall places to eat.
That's good.
And we ate really good, really good.
I forgot about this, though. I just had Rocco Vargas in here. I forget this with Rangers. You guys, you go through like the initial training school to become a Ranger, and then you do like a deployment, and then you do Ranger school.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about now. So it was after your first deployment, you're doing the...
This was after my second deployment. Yeah.
Oh, so you went on 2.
Yeah. I was trying to hold off as long as I possibly could to not go to Ranger school. But the thing is, if you don't go within like 2 years, then kick you out, man. Yeah. And I was about to get married at that time. I just rekindled this relationship I had with the elementary school girlfriend. And
how did this? You were telling me before she lived out of town at this point too. Like, how did you reconnect with someone that was your friend when you were like 6?
MySpace.
Oh my God,
yeah.
MySpace.
She hit me up on MySpace.
There's a throwback.
Yeah, throwback, man. She got in contact with me on MySpace, and the internet sucked that day when I checked my messages, and there's this girl named Jessica on there, but her profile picture or her picture did not load up. It was just a generic little female silhouette, and I thought it was a different Jessica that I didn't like. And I was like, I don't want to talk to this girl. So I canked it and went back to my room. Then something told me, was like, dude, go back and check on it. So the next day, or a few days after that, I went back and loaded up the message, and her picture popped up. And I just saw this Mexican hot ass girl, and I was like, oh, she changed up, She didn't look she didn't look like that back then.
She looked like that when she was 6.
Yeah.
Imagine. Did she put you in the top 8 at least? Like, was that a thing?
That became a thing after we started to date. And so, like the MySpace thing, the top 8, like
I remember this. I was like 11.
Really? Oh man, I'm old.
Sorry.
I'm crying now. But I didn't make it to the top 8 yet. She was still dating a guy, or like about to end the relationship with this guy. And after I saw her, I hit her back up, and I, like, hey, I remember you, and whatever. I looked at the guy next to me. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna marry this girl. He didn't believe me, and I just believed myself. So that's all that counted. I went back to the compound we stayed at, got a satellite phone, called her up from this weird 0001 number or whatever. Talked for like half an hour. She's like, where are you at? I tell her, I can't tell you, but I'm in the Army. I'll be back whenever. When I do come back, I would like to come see you. And that's pretty much what happened.
Wow.
And the first week after that deployment, I found a ticket to San Antonio and flew out to see her. And that was all she wrote, man. Well, not really, because it went on, for like, we dated for like 9 months on and off. She did not, I don't know what it was, but a lot of her parents had something to do with it. They were not into the whole like interracial, relationship thing. They didn't believe in that, but I was like, I'm not a bad guy,
Some tough Mexicans.
Yeah. And it was bad, bro.
Let's see. You're Cuban. I don't want to hear
it. It was bad, but luckily she came through. And after I proposed to her, before I left, where was I going? Dude, I believe it was Mosul, Iraq. I proposed to her before that deployment, and she said yes, then she said no. So I'm overseas on that deployment, like, thinking about that, not the job, and made me more angry.
She said yes, but then she said no.
Yeah, she said yes.
It's after the most women thing I've ever heard.
It is,
in my
bro.
life.
It is. Right after, like, that next day, as I'm getting on the plane, she's like, I changed my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, it worked out. It worked out good, though. I kept trying. I knew it was going to happen. She was just scared, I guess, and had a lot of influence, but then she found out who I was, and she was like, oh, he's a badass, and hell yeah, I like that. So before she had no idea.
That's impressive. Like, it's impressive you could compartmentalize something that serious, though.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed with this with a lot of the military guys for different reasons, like balancing relationships, being overseas, and on and off in such a different world. But like to be getting on the plane and like you just proposed yesterday, you're in ecstasy. Now she's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Or however you say that in Spanish.
Yeah.
And then, you got to get on a plane and be all business.
You get drunk before you go. Yeah. That's what I did, at least. That's what I did. And then by the time you're overseas, like, you only have so much time to think about it. And it's more so in your downtime. Like, on the mission, I didn't think about home at all. I didn't think about mom, dad, her, no one. It was just a mission. It was just when you got back and things settled down and, you start trying to, you get back up on MySpace and you see all the fun that everyone's doing. That sucks, yeah.
Yeah, the word, I think right before we were getting on camera, we were touching on like some of your sensory understanding. But the word that really came to mind when I was reading your battlefield stories, which were amazingly written, by the way.
Thank you.
Was like presence. You had massive presence in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get into your approach with shooting later, I'm sure, but like.
I wish I could do that more so now, man. Yeah.
You can't re-simulate something like that.
Yeah,
though,
you're right. Yeah.
It's like, can you be like that at Walmart versus like in the middle of a field where like 40 guys are like, depending on you to still live?
Yeah. Living in the present time is the hardest thing to do, I think, for anybody. Until you go to war, then it's like you have no other choice than to live in the present. Otherwise, you die.
Well, that first time before you go to Ranger School, you said you had 2 deployments and they were both to Iraq.
Yeah.
So the first one's what, like 04?
05.
05?
05 was going into 06, yeah.
Okay, so the insurgency has popped off.
Yeah,
like, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But you thought you were like going to be going down into Vietnam, and you landed.
All the books that I read growing up, which weren't many, but the ones that I did read were all like Vietnam based. The MARSOC guys are not the MARSOC. It's the SOG, the SOG guys in Vietnam. They were like my inspiration. They were the only guys who like had books about, Vietnam. Then I read stuff about Carlos Hathcock and the Marine Sniper and a few other books about Vietnam. So my perspective of what war was just, Vietnam. I was of course training with guys in Ranger Battalion, but it was I don't know. You don't really know what to expect until you get there, and all the training in the world is not gonna simulate combat. So You know, I didn't expect to be raiding schools and stuff like that in Iraq, but you would train in old rundown schools stateside to practice, you know, room clearing and taking over compounds. And like the Ranger specialty primarily is to take over an airfield. So, you know, you jump in, take over an airfield, secure it, and move on from there. Not one time did I ever have to, you know, secure an airfield overseas. They were all, you know, little houses here, complexes here. They were never, you know, anything of that nature. So what I thought war was going to be was totally different. But yeah, we landed in Iraq, and like there were McDonald's or little fast food shops, coffee bean places, and stuff like that. It was
You're
totally
like, this
different.
ain't Saigon.
Yeah, far from it. Far from it. You didn't find out until you went outside the wire, and even then, it wasn't what I expected.
It's more urban warfare in Iraq, like pretty much across the country, no?
Yeah, all urban. I didn't do anything like Iraq and Afghanistan were almost night and day. Iraq was all urban, and at least you could see the enemy for the most part, unless they were using like IEDs or whatever. But Afghanistan, it was like fighting ghosts, though. It was rare you saw someone for the most part.
Yeah.
Rare.
A lot of tree lines, small tucked away villages, mountains.
Mountains, yeah. Wide open fields. And, dude, they've been fighting in that land since, you know, forever. So it's
what do
different.
they say about it? It's like that's where empires fall.
Yeah, come to die or whatever it is. Yeah.
Didn't like I might be making this up, but maybe it was like Alexander the Great, like worked his way around Afghanistan.
See, now that you
or something
said
like that?
something like that, now my mind's thinking about it.
Can we Google that, Alessi? Alexander the Great, what did he do vis-a-vis Afghanistan? He might have battled through it, but there's something that goes back to someone like him, like way back then. That like every time people try to fuck around, they find out.
Saw this on the History Channel, man. My mind's drawing a blank. Yeah.
We got anything? All right, let's see. Alexander's campaign in Afghanistan was a part of his war against the Persian Empire. He entered the territories that are now Afghanistan after his victory over the Persian Empire in 331 and 330. However, his plan to use the territories as a highway to India failed due to strong resistance from the Afghan tribes. I didn't make it up.
Even he had a hard time. Or didn't want to mess with that, which is weird. I did not expect Afghanistan to even be like that, though. Like from its appearance and the people that you see there, you would have no idea that they are willing to fight this thing out for decades.
What about the appearance of the people gives no idea about that?
Skinny, frail, malnutrition. I'm not trying to be mean, but their intellect, I think, was a little off to me. You know, their belief system and just they knew one thing, and it was just basically how to fight or how to survive. You know, and even talking to we worked with some Afghan guys over there, and it was just their culture was far different. Of men were for pleasure and women for reproduction. So it was.
Where'd we hear that one? Yeah, you'll remember it later. Someone else said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird culture, you know, and you see weird stuff based around what I just said of men being for pleasure, and yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, I heard the word boys. Where you said
boys.
Men.
There you go, boys. Yeah, T-boys or chai boys, whatever we call them. Yeah.
Now you got it, Alessi. Now it came upstairs. Yeah.
I've walked into a room full of it and did a mission where literally like guys were doing their thing in the tree line, and we had to go in there and take care of that. It was a weird sight to see.
All right, well, we're gonna be
pulling guys apart.
All right, we're gonna be getting all into Afghanistan, but back to Iraq just to cover that because that was the beginning. Mm-hmm. One of the things you talk about is like people make these legends of people and start to exaggerate some things. So you're very clear in your book exactly, you know, where your numbers are and stuff like that. But you had to do your first kill on your first deployment in Iraq.
Yeah.
What happened there? Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you.
50 cal machine gunner. So I started off in battalion as an assaulter. I was a 203 guy, grenade launcher. Went on to weapon squad where it's like all the heavy weapons. You have your 50 cal machine gun, your 240 machine guns, your Mark 48s, and all the big machine gun stuff. Being a 50 cal machine gunner on top of a striker, which is another piece of equipment we use, it's like a 40-ton vehicle, has 8 wheels, 4 on each side. It's like a tank on wheels. I was a gunner for that and a driver for it. For this particular mission, I was a gunner, and during that time, it was a curfew. People were not, allowed to be outside during a certain time, and this time had elapsed, and we see a vehicle like veering towards a convoy that I was in, and me being the lead vehicle and the gunner, I had a PO with me, I believe, and he's telling me to engage this guy. The car was like way down in the back, a lot of weight in it. I had no idea what a vehicle-borne IED was or how they used them or what to look out for. He's telling me to engage this car, and in my mind, I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't think, to shoot someone. I always thought my combat experience was going to be a blaze of glory. Your first kill, you're getting shot at, big firefight, and you have to kill someone. Not we're just cruising downtown, or not cruising downtown. It was we just got done doing an operation, taking some prisoners back. And like as the sun is coming up, you see a vehicle start to pick up speed and come straight towards our convoy. And your commander's like, hey, light this guy up. And it takes a while. And he slaps me on the helmet. He's like, light this fucker up now. And I did. Pulled the trigger on it, butterfly trigger, and skipped the rounds from the hood of his car all the way through him, like a good 9-round burst. And car went all, sideways and veered towards us or past us. And we stopped, got out. They investigated the vehicle, popped open the trunk, and he had these old artillery rounds, like wired all together in there. And that was like their shtick back then. Artillery wired to chlorine, I believe, to make like a chlorine bomb. And yeah, shot that guy. It was the first one I ever killed.
But you didn't know until they confirmed it going to the car to check him out because he was in the car.
Yeah.
Right?
So when they opened the car, that's where I could see what had happened to him. What a good amount of 50 caliber rounds to do to someone. I just saw, from my perspective, I saw sparks, and red-ish, pinkish mist, I guess. Mm-hmm. But when they popped open the car, it was just like not even half a human. It was a disfigured human, like jelly a little bit.
Yeah. Can you even process that like right in the moment when you've got that confirmed, or are you still just very much
I was still
in mode?
Yeah, still like rushing off wow, I just shot my first weapon overseas in combat. It wasn't like it was hard I didn't think it was going to go down that way, I thought I was going to be getting shot at or something, not just a guy who wants to, use his car like a torpedo. But I lived off that high and just up until I got back, It was a weird experience. This is not how I expected it to go down. So it was just weird to kind of put that all together. But it was weird when I got back, though.
How long was that deployment? Like
90 days.
90 days.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was like the one time there where there was action. The rest of it was you're basically out in convoys, checking places out, and you didn't have to take action?
Every day was action. We did
there was
120 missions in 90 days. We killed, I forgot, like 1,000-something guys. The most we've ever killed in a deployment was like 1,900 in a 3-month time span. So it's every day is action. Every day is action. I might not be, pulling the trigger on all those missions or operations. It's a lot of the
that's where I misunderstood.
Yeah, the assaulters and stuff like that. They are, but like every day was a pretty hectic day. Yeah.
Did you lose any guys during that first one?
Not from my platoon. We lost somebody from another platoon. I was first platoon. We had first platoon, second platoon, and third platoon. somebody from, I believe, 2nd Platoon died. And maybe somebody else from 3rd Platoon. A couple of guys did die, yeah. I just did not know them directly. I know they were in, Ranger Battalion, and we might have, passed each other going to chow or something like that, going to eat, but I didn't know them personally, though.
So you don't have there's not like that straight line connection yet to like how real it gets when you or anyone else can go down out there.
Yeah. I didn't see that yet firsthand. We felt like, or to me, it felt like my platoon was just a untouchable platoon made of like little gods, man. We were just untouchable.
It's a dangerous feeling.
Big time. Because when it happens, it makes it worse too.
And again, you're still 18 at the time. Your cerebral, what is it, the prefrontal cortex or whatever?
Not developed yet.
Not developed at all.
No.
So you don't even have like a...
No. And we're doing stuff like this, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's now it's crazy to you, but at the time, did you have any appreciation for that?
No, at the time, I mean, I felt like I was a grown man. Like, I felt like I was more of a... It's going to sound weird, like more of a man than my dad, or like at my dad's level a little bit. It felt like that at that time because I was doing stuff my dad never got a chance to do, you know?
Is that competitive a little bit? Like, is that where that's coming from?
Probably. Yeah, I can see
I'll
that.
show you, old man.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, a lot of that. And yeah, like the first time I ever killed someone, that next day I had told him about it. And he's like, don't talk about that. Not on the phone, at least. So just never talked about it again after that. He didn't find out until I left the Army, and he started to hear stuff and see stuff online or whatever.
Oh, and what came later? He didn't know about that at all?
No idea. I stopped talking about killing altogether with my family. My wife didn't know until after I got out. Well, it was that last deployment. One of my team guys was we were talking, and she overheard some stuff, and and she was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's how she found out. But there's only been one deployment I haven't killed someone, and that was a trip to Afghanistan with SEAL Team 6. But
and that was later.
That was like 08. Yeah.
Got it. All right, so you do another one in Iraq after that, similar kind of op tempo?
I went to Ranger School, then to Baghdad. That op tempo was really low, like not slow. It was fun. We got a chance to work with the SEALs and use their boats. I forget what their boat is called, but we would ride up and down the river, dismount off the river. It was like almost like Vietnam a little bit, just like a small, wasn't it Vietnam, but it felt like, Vietnam. The jungle style environment. Yeah. Tall trees coming off the water, the ravine, and using boats to infill. That was pretty sick working with SEALs like that.
Yeah, how does that I've asked this to different guys. This part's always a little confusing for me. Like, how does it work where they're like, all right, Rangers, you're working with SEALs, or Delta Force, you're working with SEALs, or Marines, you're working with like, how does this go down?
That's a good question. I believe it comes down to who's in theater and who has a certain operational capabilities. I think it comes down to that. Like during my the second deployment in Iraq, I was a part of a joint task force. Not sure if the name is known yet, but it was a joint task force where it was us, SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, some SAS guys, and some CIA guys, and it was a pretty cool task force.
It's like the Avengers team right there.
It was literally like that. The stuff we were doing was really, really neat. Really neat.
What kind of stuff?
Just straight taking it to them. A lot of killing.
Now is that task force post Al-Zakawi going down?
I was there for that.
Oh, you were there for that?
Yeah, I was on that task force as well. Ooh. Yeah, Al-Zakawi. So
you were hunting Al-Zakawi.
Yeah. I still have the little. They dropped these pamphlets or little pieces of paper in that town before we had actually captured him, and then we have the picture of him where his head is looking like that. But
can't show that one on screen, but people Google it at home.
Yeah, I was there for that, and I was there for, we found that whole operation, or during that mission, I remember the thing that stands out to me is like all the money we found, like in his little hideout spots and stuff that he would, I guess, visit, or people who worked for him stayed, and we would go after those guys. But they had so much money, like crisp $100 U.S. currency bills stuffed in walls.
I believe it.
Yeah.
You ever hear about like the biggest robbery in world history that happened at the beginning of the war?
No.
So like Saddam's sons went to like the Bank of Baghdad like a day into the war and just took like $1 billion.
Jeez.
And said, see ya.
Jeez, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the money that just floats around.
Yep. I have not come across a terrorist that has not had like a crisp $100 bill on them.
They hate America, but they do love our greenbacks.
Yep. Yeah.
That part's interesting to
Isn't
me.
it? Yeah. Then you wonder, like, how is this all getting there?
Right.
Yeah. And remote caves. So.
Remote caves?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where they're hiding and stuff.
Yeah.
So that task force, that Zakari task force, this is like 05, 06. You're on that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, is that the one that was like Team Avengers? That was
both
later?
Of them. I was on 2 task force, yeah. So
because this is, I mean, obviously, like the CIA was like the brain unit of trying to hunt this guy. So are you directly interfacing with people from there on intelligence as far as like where these houses are before you hit them?
Yeah, they would supply all the information, all the intel. Like we're not, and if I ever came across a CIA guy, like for the majority of the time, I had no idea they were even with the agency or anything. I just thought they were some cool army guy with
That's
a beard.
how they like it.
Yeah, I had no idea who these guys were. And that's how it was for a lot of the operations. Like you would know the Delta guys. They would either stay with us or they had no issue saying who they were with. But they wouldn't say, "Hi, I'm Delta Force." They would say, "I'm with the unit" or something like that. But yeah, they were cool guys, and they would recruit from us like every deployment. So
they would recruit from you?
Yeah, from the Ranger battalions.
To get right.
Yeah, to get new guys. The agency guys, they were spooky. Like you don't know who you're really dealing with or anything like that. It was just spooky dudes. And especially being that age that I was, it was hard to, you're working with some cool guys, but you don't know who's who.
Do you have a concept at all of like the geopolitical implications of what's going on? And the reason I ask that is because you're getting there when shit has hit the fan. The whole like separating out the Ba'ath Party backfired. The insurgency of terrorists has basically seized on the upset population to rally them behind them to be like, fuck these people who are here, which includes you, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird time. Do you have any grasp of that, or are you just so focused on like, all right, what's the next mission? Here's what we got to do. All right, great, let's do it.
That's it. Yeah, just what's the next mission? And every day, sometimes 2 or 3 missions a day. But that's my only focus. I guess after one particular mission, we had taken down a high-value target, and I remember sitting in the chow hall and seeing the mission we had just accomplished, like on the news. I think that was like the most I've ever been. Like, holy shit, we're doing some pretty impactful stuff. And they didn't say who did it. They did. They said it was Iraqi special forces or something. But I was like, man, that was pretty neat to be a part of missions like that where your name or your unit does not get mentioned. It gets passed off to somebody else. That was pretty cool.
Right. I would imagine that's how most of it has to get
disseminated. Yeah. And then when you watch the news over there, you realize how much of it is, like, it's just all propaganda.
Right.
That was neat to see as a kid. Like, everything that you guys were getting back here was almost a lie. Not a lie. It was just a lot of propaganda.
So beyond, you're saying like, obviously beyond just like changing a team that did it or who did it, the actual information of what's happening on the ground is different.
It's totally different. Totally different.
So what would you say during that time period was the main problems with like the reporting of what's happening in Iraq?
The main problems, probably the numbers, I think. The numbers of maybe civilian deaths, I think. Casualties. we wouldn't really advertise our mess, all the times that we messed up. Or not messed up, where something bad happened, or innocent person got killed, or some of the tactics we were using to get who we were going after. But then you get older and you realize that, well, yeah, a lot of the stuff that these companies and like your cell phones are always listening to you and stuff like that, you know, I think looking back at it now, you realize, or you think, depend on like how much of a conspiracy theorist you are, like were we testing all this technology out on these people first before we implemented it here? It feels like that sometimes too. Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
Really?
That's believable though.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, just it's impossible to know, but in talking to some of the people I get to talk to doing this job, you in your head you're like, all right, so is DARPA 40, 50, or 60 years ahead? Right. Like, how far?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go 40 to 60.
Right?
Yeah, they're pretty up there, pretty far out there. Yeah.
So what are they testing? You know, in this case, you're talking about them testing it in a war zone over there, because who gives a fuck about them?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But then, you know, what are they testing on your own population too?
Yep. 5G. No, I don't know.
You haven't even been here an hour. Damn it.
5G.
Yeah, I can imagine that's got to be frustrating though, because, you know, I hate when people in offices in Washington, D.C. wearing suits have to run and duck and cover for their own decisions, and then it gets painted back on the guys who are there. Like, there's no better example than what you studied growing up with the Vietnam vets. I mean, those guys were spit on when they were brought back. But it's like, they got drafted to go there. Like, what the fuck do you want them to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's hell when they get there.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't have to go through that again with the way things are looking now. Hopefully we don't have to, you know, incorporate the draft again. Who knows? Yeah,
I've heard rumors about that. Yeah, maybe being a thing.
That would suck really bad, because we'd lose so bad. What was the last time we ever, like, what was the last war that we have won?
I mean, does the 91 Gulf War count?
No.
That's like 2 days.
Yeah, and we just picked up where we left off. Yeah, it was a to be continued. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is, when you look at the history of modern warfare, like post-World War II, it's usually big country in small proxy country, right? So United States in Korea, Russia, the Soviet Union, and various little countries that, you know, weren't world powers. United States in Vietnam, United States in Iraq. Yeah. Russia in Ukraine. Yeah. You know, Israel in Gaza. You know, Gaza's, they're not going to be number one in GDP. Right? Neither is Ukraine. I hate to break it to you guys.
Yeah, it's truthful. They might be now, all the money we're giving them.
They still need a few years, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. Point being, you know, it's like they're all these wars are really what's happening outside of the wars diplomatically, or I don't even know if that's the right word to use there, but it feels like warfare is this almost like a hammer in the toolbox. Take out and banging some nails, and who gives a fuck how they feel? Yeah, 100%. Which is weird when you think about it, especially the guys who were sending those guys out to do that stuff, get a chance to go home and eat caviar, you know, every night, if that's your thing. But yeah, it's got to be frustrating though, because, you know, we're not putting boots on the ground there, which I like, because I don't like endless wars. I'm not one of the, just to be clear, I'm not one of these people who's like, we can never be involved. That's a really bad way to look at things. Unfortunately, the world is a nasty place, and shit happens, and you do have to take action. Yeah. But I'm also not one of these people that's like, well, let's just pump endless cash reserves into all these things, and all right, you know, they lose 100K, they lose 200K, we're talking lives, whatever. Like, as a human being, I'm never going to get behind that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like that now, too.
Yeah. Yeah. But you in Iraq, you talk about like the civilian deaths. You feel like we're being misreported and stuff like that. At the same time, you guys, It's not your fault that the people there now hate you because of what politicians have decided to do. It's also probably understandable that some, maybe not the total terrorists, but some of the other people may not like you.
Yeah.
Because, like, you guys are forced to have to go to door every night and, like, do checks in uniforms with guns in the faces of kids.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, one of the things I always ask the guys who are over there is in no way to, like, condone terrorism or anything like that. But could you see how the 7-year-old in 2006 who was getting his house broken into every night by people in suits that say America on it might hate America now at age 26?
We knew that back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You'd kill a dad right in front of his kid, and you can only imagine, you know, the disdain that he has towards the guys who did that, or the country that did that to his dad, and what he's going to grow up to be. Like, I knew that back then. And some of us were there long enough to actually see the manifestation of that, you know, over those years, you know, 20-something years is a long time. And that's a long time.
I sent my mom a video this morning of a kid, you know, because you got to be careful with all these videos because there's propaganda like crazy everywhere. So I'm pretty tight with those, and I can't be 100% on stuff, but there was one of a kid who was probably about 9-10 years old crying. I'm like, all right, I don't think he's a Hollywood actor. And, you know, he's in Lebanon and his family had just been bombed or whatever. And he was crying, but he was making sense. He wasn't just like hysterical. He was talking about, you know, he's like, God needs to get back at these perpetrators or whatever. And I said to my mom, I said, when this kid blows up a building in 15 years, I won't condone it and I'll hate him for it, but I'll damn well understand where it started.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, yeah. It's a never-ending cycle, man. And that's what I don't get. I mean, these wars are confusing at this point. It's like, you know, in order to, you know, I guess alleviate that issue, you'd have to kill everybody. And that's the only way that you can make that. But then you're just going to piss off somebody, their next door neighbor or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a weird battle to fight, you know. Very strange battle to fight.
And it sounds like you, based on what you're saying, even at 18, 19 in those earliest deployments, you even have some understanding of that as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive, but...
You get a chance to see it firsthand, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, if I were a kid, I'd feel the same way, too. If you killed my dad, probably not going to like you after that.
It's up.
Yeah. I'm going to come find you. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was one of the things you talked about, how, like, you're in these countries and... these people are used to just having helicopters over their head at all times, people carrying rifles around in military uniforms on the street. And here, you know, when we had that happen for like a week or two.
Which one was that?
After 9/11.
Okay, yeah.
Like, that was weird for people.
Were you here for that when that happened?
No, I grew up in South Jersey, but I remember 9/11.
Close enough,
It's like one of my first memories.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was 7.
Okay, wow, man.
Damn. I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
That whole everything about that.
It's crazy how it's scarred into your mind like that, isn't
it?
Yeah. Damn, dude.
But we had that for like 2 weeks.
Really?
To your point, whatever it was, where, you know, not down where I was, but like when I say we, I'm talking about people who were like here in New York, where they walk outside and, you know, there's military guys and stuff.
Humvees and all. I forgot about that, man. Yeah.
But that was crazy. And it's like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Imagine 2 decades.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Or like 200 years.
That too? Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
That's all they know.
Yeah. Dude, it was weird when I was over there. Like, some people had no idea why we were even over there. Like, what are you talking? That was a weird one. Like, you guys don't have TVs? You don't know what happened? Like, we didn't have anything to do with that. That was Saudi Arabia.
They're next door. Go there.
Wrong house. You can borrow some sugar, though.
There was a Frontline documentary. I don't know how long ago, but it was years after Iraq had happened, where they went and interviewed a lot of now adults who were like kids and teenagers.
Oh, wow.
When the war started.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about, like, okay, you know, Saddam was a very bad guy. Let's not rewrite history here.
Mm-hmm.
But they talk about some of the normalcy in their life.
Ah, yeah.
Right?
I've heard stories about that too. Yeah. Like, with Saddam Hussein being the dictator or the leader. Yeah.
But like they knew where they were going to go get lunch that day.
Mm-hmm.
They could go to school, stuff like that. You couldn't say anything bad about Saddam or your head was going to come off. But like, you know, not to say their point was not to say we wouldn't have had complaints about that. We did.
Yeah, yeah.
But holy shit, this got way worse.
It didn't it? Big time. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. I can't carry a shovel. Yeah. There was a time in Iraq where you couldn't have a shovel or a cell phone when we rolled up.
You couldn't have a cell phone?
No. Or a shovel. You would get shot for that.
Why a cell? Because they think
IEDs,
you're calling in?
Yeah. Or just calling an IED. It was such a big problem back then. So the rules of engagement at one point for Spec Ops were... they were not going to say sketch. They were just wow, just wow. I don't think that your average person doesn't hear about that too much, or know some of the things that the rules of engagement, how they changed and fluctuated over the years. It's 1 minute it's this, next minute it's I got to win the hearts and minds now. I was never a part of doing any of that. That was like regular military, regular army stuff. Winning the hearts and minds. Our thing was like, we'll take them. They can win them. But we did a lot of that. Yeah.
We'll take them.
Yeah. Did a lot of that.
But you do those first two in Iraq.
Yeah.
You go through Ranger School. Now we're in like 07, 08, something like that. Is this when you first go to Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, yeah. Well, I did Mosul, or Tikrit, Mosul, Baghdad. Then I went to first deployment to Afghanistan was, I think it was not Kandahar. Maybe it was Kandahar. No, it wasn't Kandahar. It was Bagram, Afghanistan, because it was cold that year. And my first time ever seeing mountains, like to that nature. But Bagram, Afghanistan. That was a dull deployment. It wasn't what I expected, but no, it is what, I guess you could say it is what I expected. We knew it wasn't going to be like Iraq, where you have like a more city environment. And it just wasn't that much action for guys like us in Afghanistan during that time frame. It was the slow deployments. That's where guys would just go to lift weights, and you found out what SEAL stands for. It's sleep, eat, and lift. Those were those deployments.
Yeah.
But it picked up quick, though. It picked up my second go around to Afghanistan.
But when you first get called in to go there, this is now 6-7 years since we invaded. 03, we go into Iraq, and the line, I think that's very fair, is like, took your eye off the ball, right?
Yep.
Because... I mean, people forget, but the beginning of Afghanistan was like one of the most successful modern military operations in history.
Yeah.
So now you're going there where the resources have been pulled a while ago.
Big time.
And now what was the running and hiding and fledgling Taliban is like, when I hear this history, it's like they were slowly dripping their way across the country and telling people, hey, your life wasn't that bad before this, right?
Yep. It was a weird environment, I think. But you're 100% correct when you say the resources were just pulled out of that. It was all focused towards, Iraq and getting Iraq done with. But I think that we had also like a huge influx of the foreign fighters coming in at that point, coming into Afghanistan, and they started to have more balls, man. They were more ballsy of, we're going to have a safe haven here and we're going to fight. And Afghanistan started to slowly become that. And depending on where in Afghanistan you were, it was kind of crazy. Like up in the mountains, the Hindu Kush, I don't know what it was called. But some regular army guys, I never got a chance to do any outpost stuff like that. Ours was all direct action, just going to this hut, that mountain, that village. So it was a little different, but
the first one, none of that really happens. The first one, you're just chilling and working out every day.
Yep. Trying to fight SEAL Team 6 guys, man. That's literally what it was all about. They didn't like us. We didn't like them.
Oh, you didn't get along with them?
No, it was a bad deployment. They had to put up a big, fence in between us because the tensions were high. They were not allowed to mess with us or see us. We had different eating times, different bathrooms, different everything.
The tensions were high over what? Who fucked someone's girl?
I don't know. I was just along for the ride, man. I'm like, hey, you got beef with my guys, and Yeah. I don't know. It was just I guess it was just a lot of competition. And we didn't think that those guys were as good as what other people say. We thought that we could do the same things they could do. Because we had been doing it for so long, side by side with Delta. Sometimes Delta would give us their missions if they were going to go do something else. So we were good at what we were doing, but it was like they wanted to, like big bro, like a big brother, with the little brother, just push you off to the side. I want to do this. And it just got old after a while. Like, no, we don't do that. So
a little bit of arrogance.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, that's where I got my disdain for SEAL Team 6 guys. I like the SEALs are cool. They're fine, and they didn't do. They just weren't. They did not do. They're water-based guys. If you want us to take over an oil rig, don't call a ranger. Call a SEAL. We'll tear that thing up. We'll all drown. So call those guys. But when it comes to destroying something on land, would call us. Yeah.
So when you see Bin Laden get whacked in 11, you're like, yeah, and then they're like,
then I found out who it was.
6,
yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yep. I was hoping for Delta, man. I was hoping for Delta to have it, but they were in Iraq at that time.
It's like those are the same guys I was fighting with in 08.
Yep. Same. No shit, man. The same guys. The same guys.
You must have. Corbett was there. Because he was SEAL Team 6 at that time. I just had him sitting in that chair.
I'd have to see faces, yeah.
That was Can we pull up Daniel Corbett, Serbian prisoner? This is the guy I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Who was taken prisoner in Serbia. I feel like he would have been one of the guys. Like, he's the dude in the corner of the room. Like, God damn it. Like, he just doesn't give a fuck. This dude.
More than like, how does he? Yeah, he looks familiar, man.
That dude in the glasses.
Yeah,
on the left.
yeah.
And that's him. Yeah. That's him with Mike Ritland right there.
More than likely, dude. I've done ops with him.
Yeah, he did not strike. Like, I don't know that I've had a 6-team guy in here, but I've seen a lot of content with SEAL Team 6 guys.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he was. And then he got talking, just his approach. I'm like, oh, he's a savage. But not the...
stereotypical. Yeah.
He's no Taylor Kavanaugh.
You can always spot a SEAL Team 6 guy. Yeah. But some of them blend in really good. Like, I could never tell. Yeah.
That's the guy that blends in.
Gotcha.
For sure. Yep. But yeah, he must have, unless I'm off a couple months on the deployment. But he was months, there.
But we were all,
he was there together. With SEAL Team 6 at that time. Obviously, they have heats that they go in. But
yeah.
Still, that's funny. Small world. So you guys are just chilling and you couldn't even work out with them?
No. We had this little like prison gym in a small, like an old rundown, old empty or a schoolhouse, old school, and that's where we lived at. They expanded the compound, and SEAL Team 6 had their own equipment, had their own MWR, the computers, their phones and stuff. But it wasn't many. They don't ever travel like we're traveling with 35 to 40 guys. SEAL Team 6 guys, they're like, a small handful.
Right.
Very small handful. I found that cool. What they could do with the least amount of guys, but I just felt like we were way better.
And you never left during that deployment? You never left the base?
Oh, hell yeah. We went out with those guys all the time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, they would just do all the killing.
Okay, wait. Yeah. So there was action. You were just...
Oh, there was action.
You were hanging back, and you're like, fuck, you guys?
Exactly,
you already took care of it?
Yeah, it was a lot of that. Like, no, you guys carry our stuff, and when we get there, we'll get it back, and we'll go knock this out. It was a lot of that.
Got it. So you're like in the rear in a way.
Well, in the rear enough to like smell the gunpowder.
Yeah.
And see the dead bodies. Yeah.
You're like, we missed it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, all of you guys in Special Forces do say the same thing, and it makes sense to me. It's like if you train your whole life to be in the NFL and you get there, you ain't trying to be backup quarterback. You want to play.
Exactly.
But in the NFL, with very few exceptions, people don't die, right?
Yeah,
some bad injuries, but for the most part, like people do live. You're talking about, though, the same mentality where it's like you're going to go out there and there's bullets flying at you, and you and your boys might not come back, but that's the only place you want to be.
Hell yeah. You don't even think about I've never thought about it as like, oh no, there's like, guys are going to be shooting at you. That doesn't scare you though. And you don't, like, I thought about death all the time. Not all, I thought about it a lot, but I'm not thinking about it so much as to where it's going to like make me a coward or shy away from something. It's just like, oh, well, you could die. You could die tomorrow too, could die back at home. You could die anywhere. So it really wasn't like that big of a deal. Yeah. And you have a gun. Like, one of the greatest speeches I've ever been given was by my first sergeant. And he said, it's the easiest, most memorable speech I can remember. It was, they got guns, we got guns. Let's go. That was it. So it's, we're just better at what we do. Like,
yeah.
They have a gun. Oh, well, that's fine. That's cool. But like, we've been training for this for months and months on end. So you don't really think you're going to walk into a firefight and expect it to be your last firefight. No. 99% of the time, if we're going up against people with guns, which was a lot, like, it was a very one-sided, extremely one-sided. Yeah.
What deployment did you become a sniper officially?
Officially 2008. Yeah.
Okay, so this is for this one, not your sniper.
Yeah.
So you've gone through sniper school and all that?
I went through, so in our battalion during that time, we had I guess you can call it like a sniper pipeline. Before we would send guys to sniper school, we would send them to like civilian sniper courses, but they were sanctioned by the U.S. government, U.S. military, Army. I went through a extreme long range precision sniper school. No, first it was just precision sniper school in Texas, a place called Kingsville. I went through a extreme long range, then I went to a high angle one in California, but not the Marine Corps one. It was put on by a really well-known shooting instructor. And then after that is when I went to sniper school. And I think it was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I forget how long sniper school is. It might be 8 weeks long. I don't
Was that
remember.
in Indiana?
No, that was in Fort Benning.
That was in Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then after that, so I did like 4 sniper schools before, or all together total, 3 before I went to the official U.S. Army one. And that's like, it's an easy sniper school course after you've been through all the other courses you've taken. Like, you're not even shooting that much in U.S. Army sniper school. A lot of it, like 10% of it's shooting, 20% of it's shooting, 80%'s the fundamentals, the sniper formulas, the
sniper formulas?
Yeah. What's a good one? Okay, so like the scopes we use are mil-dot scopes. Inside the scope, you have that crosshair, and you have dots on it, or lines on it, or hash marks on it. And you can use that as a form of measurement to see how far away something is and to adjust for the wind and elevation for the bullet. So let's say an easy calculation would be, I'm looking at a target and I measure him from his groin to the top of his head. The average male body is around 40 inches, give or take a few inches. So 40 times this constant, 24 meters, would be 25.4. And 40 times 25.4 is 1,016. And if I take 2 mil dots from the groin to the top of your head and plug it into 1,016, it comes out to 508. So I know you're 508 yards away. Then there's one for like yards, and it's multiplying it by 27.7, and you get a different formula. Yeah. But that's a basic, very basic formula. Then you have your wind formulas, and then you have to go out and apply it and stuff like that. Then you have stalking and everything else.
Stalking?
Yeah. Stalking, where your ghillie suit stalking, given a target, or an instructor is sitting in the back of a pickup truck and you have to sneak within like 200, 300 yards of this instructor. You're given a time limit, and there's a team of instructors looking at you. They know where you're starting from, and they know where you have to be, and they're looking all in that field, that area, and the objective is not to get caught, pull off a shot, and sneak back out without being seen. And they have instructors that after you take the shot will come within a few feet of you, and they'll say, I'm within 3 feet of the sniper. The instructor on the back of a truck or something, he's looking, he's like, I think I see him down here by your feet at this area, this location. Put your hand on him, top of his head, and they're like, no, that's not him. That's like the hardest part of sniper school. Then you have to sneak back out. And
whoa.
Yeah.
That's
Most
intense.
people fail that portion, like 70% fail that portion.
And then did they get a chance to redo it, or are they out?
Oh, you get kicked. I mean, you get 5, I think it's 5 chances to do it. I forget. But if you fail, like, you have to make 70% of your stalks. If you don't, then you get kicked out. I'm not sure if you can come back to sniper school or you have to wait like a year or something like that. I have no idea. I went straight through. That's like one of the only courses I went straight through. And it wasn't hard like that.
You were just kind of born for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
That comes across.
Yeah.
Because, like, snipers are so fascinating to speak with because it's not to put down any other types of warfare. It's all important, like, where it comes from. But, like, when you're up in front on the assault, it's like you're much more not literally hand-to-hand, but you know what I mean. You're there, like, all right, point, shoot, kill.
Mm-hmm.
You guys... You know, you're doing fucking Albert Einstein's equations up there, and doing insane math. What's the term again for the curvature of the Earth? You got to take into account too.
They call that the Coriolis effect.
That's it. Yeah, the Coriolis effect,
Yeah.
right? You got to, I love that you laid out the formula there and how that would work based on inches and distance and everything.
I hope my math is right. What is 40 times 25.4? Should be 1016.
He didn't have a calculator when he was doing this. He would have had a calculator out there.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, I wouldn't.
No?
No.
You didn't take a calculator out there with you?
I hated technology. Like, I like the old school 25.4. 40 times
40 times 25.4?
Yeah.
That changes the game that you didn't have a calculator.
There we go.
You were dead on.
So it's I didn't like the calculator. I liked the like old school Carlos Hathcock type Vietnam sniping. Green Berets, they love that stuff, but I was just never into that.
Well, it's like
the
smallest thing can change from a kill to a complete miss.
Oh, 100%.
Like literally a millimeter.
Oh yeah, 100%. Which we saw with the attempted assassination.
Yes.
The first one. So it's a matter of millimeters and inches, definitely.
And that one was only like 375, 400 yards.
It's very short distance.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, you did a shot from 750. What was your longest one? Like 1,000?
Yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Over half a mile, yeah. That was I'm not going to say it was luck. It was less math. Well, I did use apply a little bit of math, but what I did was watch where the bullet impacted, the first bullet. Like when it missed, I was like, oh, okay, well, I just need to hold up.
Oh, okay.
Just pick it up a little bit.
Hold it right there, buddy.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. A little to the left.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it went. He saw the bullet. He saw it impact, and by the time he looked up to see where it was coming from or where he thought it was coming from, like the second one was already apexing. Like it was a clean shot. And you can see the vapor trail. It's like the Matrix type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think, remember that movie Wanted where they'd turn the bullets and shit?
Yeah.
No, it's like crazy, but I always think about if some of it is in just enough slow motion for people as highly skilled as you that it's not like that, but you can literally almost stop time for a second and feel where that bullet is.
Yeah. It is almost like it takes a trained eye to pick up on trail or trace of a bullet, and it takes time, I think, to adapt your eye to it because it's happening so quick. At half a mile, the bullet is taking, what is it, 1.7, 1.8 seconds to get there. That's a pretty good chunk of time, But shorter distances, like a few hundred yards, it's hard to even comprehend how fast that bullet gets there.
Can you even, if you're at 1,000 yards and it happens to be a day where it's stormy Can you even take that shot?
Stormy? No.
Right.
How much wind are we talking?
20, 25 miles an hour.
Ooh.
With rain coming down.
Rain is not a factor, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Not at all.
No. Rain's not a factor.
Why not?
Bullets moving fast enough, and you have you ever see the video or a video of a sonic jet when it's that cone coming off of it?
What do we search? Let's pull it up.
I'm not a jet guy. The cone that comes off the plane when it's going really fast.
Try sonic jet cone coming off plane. Vapor cone?
Not the vapor cone. That's
breaking the sound barrier?
Yeah.
All right, let's try that one.
There
Second
you go.
one there?
Yep. Our bullet moving really fast. They have like a still photo. It's almost like that.
Also, people, if it cuts ahead at some point here, it's because it's copyright and you missed a video. I'll put the link in the description. If not, then we're gonna be able to play it.
And Wanted.
There we go. I love that. I love that movie.
Should be a picture or whatever of like a bullet when it's going. That's fake. You can tell because it still has the cartridge attached to the actual projectile.
Oh, that's AI?
Oh yeah.
Damn it.
But when you see a still image of a bullet, there's a cone going off of it.
Would that work?
No. It'd have to be a picture, a still frame.
All right, if you find it later,
Yeah,
I'll throw the link in the description for people. I get what you're saying, though.
But there's a cone that comes off of it, and it's not affected by any water or anything like that. And those are all fake photos. Oh, there is one right down, the black and white one. It's that cone.
This one?
Yeah, so you see there you go. That's perfect. All that. That's the water does not touch the bullet, doesn't affect the bullet, nothing like that.
I would never guess that because, like, you would just think, like, the physical force. I mean, it's not much, but it doesn't take much. You know what I mean? To move a bullet off.
Once
but
it hits,
the wind does.
Yeah, but once it hits transonic, when it stops being supersonic, maybe you might have an issue there.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.